is live. Hello, everyone, and welcome to another event by the New York Metro chapter of the National Black MBA. Tonight, my name is Molly Crease. I'm the founder of We Network Services and also the director for professional development for the Metro New York chapter. And I have some wonderful fellow coaches here with me. I have Latricia Friend of Career Documents LLC and also Curtis Cox of Curtis Careers. Welcome, guys. It's nice to have you.
Good to
Thanks,
be here.
Molly.
Thank you.
So, today we're going to be talking about a very important topic because the Metro New York chapter, we have a virtual career fair event coming up on the 17th of November from 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. And we really want to get you ready. We want to get you prepared to go in there and to crush it. And so this evening, our topic is so you're attending a virtual career fair. Here is what you need to know.
Mm.
And between the three of us, we're going to really try to give you as many tips as possible on what you need to know to be successful at this virtual career fair coming up and any virtual career fair that you will attend, or even if you have an interview coming up. So, before we dive all the way deep into it, I just wanted to do a fun break question, but I wanted to ask you guys, how many career fairs do you remember attending?
Ooh.
Oh Lord. Wow.
Go ahead,
Um,
Curtis.
uh, I mean, it's countless. Countless. It's
No,
like
can't remember.
no, no. It's too
You
many.
can't
Too
remember,
many.
right?
No.
It's
It's like
been too
breathing.
many,
It's like
too many to.
just as free. It's just as
Yeah, it's
frequent as
too.
breathing and eating.
Uh,
It's the
yeah, it's too many to count. But I remember being very, very timid going into career fairs because you're going in. Well, me, I was not prepared as I should have going into these fairs, and so you'd have the anxiousness, you'd have the timidness, you not knowing what to say, and all of that stuff. And I'm sure that happened once in upon a time for you guys as well, before you mastered it and get to it. So I'm saying that to say all of this to you guys that are listening. If you have that anxiousness in your stomach or you're feeling unprepared, it's not a foreign language because we've all been through that, and so we're here to help you through it. And can we what do you think are some of the advantages of attending a career fair? Whether it be, well, we're talking about virtual now, but whether it be in person or virtual. Go ahead, Latricia.
So ties back to your first question. I don't remember how
Yeah.
many I did either. I've been a business owner for several years, so it's been some time to think back about it. But the nervousness, the anxiousness, that excitement, right? When you feel unprepared, it's probably because you're unprepared. What makes it easier, right? What gets you prepared and ready is the practice. So attending the virtual before going in front of a live, um, an in-person career fair, or going and having an in-person interview, use it as practice, right? Use it as, how do I, okay, I developed an elevator pitch. I got to now practice it, use it during the virtual career fair, practice your elevator pitch, right? I have a couple of questions that I think I want to ask, right? Because here's the thing: if you've been in one of these with us before, you've seen me talk. I always say this: saying it in here to yourself is great and wonderful. Unfortunately, as we kind of fill in the blanks, the space between here and here of actually saying it is only about what, 5 inches, 6 inches, but actually making it happen, forming the words, taking out the and ahs, do it. You have to do it so that you, is that what I, that's not what I thought I was saying, but actually what came out was, that was crap. Let me practice. The best way to practice is to do the work. Go to the career fair and practice. Even if it's like, I don't think any of these employers or people I want to work for, I don't think it, sign up and go. Use it as your practice.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
I
what I'm
told
hearing you say is practice. Practice is essential.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Curtis.
no, I was just following up. I totally agree. It is practice, practice, practice. And I would say to piggyback off of that is, after you go through these fairs, it's just kind of taking notes, right? Taking a little inventory of what you've learned, what you've learned about the companies that you encounter, the people that you meet, and then also I don't know if we're going to touch on this tonight, but I think it's very important. Just the connections, right? The business cards, if you will, that you collect, and like what are those steps into following up those leads, right? And developing those relationships, right? Because a lot of times you get opportunities strictly not because of a website and an application. You get it through these type of situations, these career fairs, right? You make this impression on someone, now they're thinking about you for this opportunity that hasn't even been posted yet publicly. Those things actually happen.
Yeah. So if we don't get to cover all of that tonight, guys, we have another event coming up on the 15th where we're going to be talking all about networking. You're going to have all the tea on networking, and we will definitely cover all of that. But I want us to dive into it because we've already started. So let's get into it. Let's talk about what is the first thing one must do in preparation for a career fair. Let's talk about the preparation side of things. The career fair date is not yet, so it's the 17th. So we're gonna prepare. What do we need to do to start preparing for the career fair? There's a few things. I'm gonna start with you first, Latricia.
Okay. So even though we're talking about networking later, start networking now. Um, Follow us on LinkedIn. If you're joining from the Metro chapter of the National Black MBA Association, follow the page, follow the people who follow the page. If there are companies that have already, so, and by following the page, you'll start seeing the messages of Estee Lauder, is going to be at the career fair. IBM will be at the career fair. Tesla will be at the, right? And then you can start interacting with those posts and with the people who comment and react to that post, right? That's how you start doing your due diligence. Estee Lauder, find their LinkedIn profile, interact with that, start meeting people. Same thing with National Black, same thing with Tesla. Of the companies who are going to show up, start doing your research through their LinkedIn profile, then their web pages. That's my
Okay, that's
that's what I would do first.
that's good tip. That's first. Number one, first do your research. What about you, Curtis?
Yeah, it's hard to follow up with that, right? I think of it as like, a sports analogy. She just scored a touchdown and I jump in the end zone. So it's kind of like, what do I do now? I'll just celebrate with you. No, but no, those are really good things, right? Like doing the research. I would also, specifically research those companies, right? And research, right, some of the mission statement, their vision, their core values, just to get a feel of the whole company's identity, right? Because once you figure out the company's identity, you're able to formulate your questions for that specific company. A lot of times you go to these career fairs, you're asking the same questions to the same companies, right? And you don't really stand out, right? But when you do your research and when you create questions specific to the companies that you're interested in, that shows that you're very knowledgeable in what you're doing. And again, it's about making a good impression on these folks, right? So, if you're asking them thought provoking questions that is happening within the company, that shows your interest, that shows your enthusiasm, and that shows your level of commitment to really be engaged with that company's culture.
So I've done my research. I've researched the companies that I want to connect with, but there are the people, the actual people that are at the company's table. I have no idea who they are. So is there a way for me to research those people as well? And if not, what do I do on the day of when I am in front of these people and I have a question pertaining to the company? Yes, but is it necessary me to have a question pertaining to pertaining to that employer that I'm face to face with in that virtual space.
Mm. No, go ahead, Latricia.
Either of you can take that.
Uh,
Oh, well, I would say so. We meet. So we're an ABC company at the virtual career fair. We're in a little breakout room, and Curtis, the recruiter, has just said something. I was like, Curtis, that was great. So thankful for giving you all that information. Can I connect with you on LinkedIn? Right? That's my first thing, right? And some of you might know this. Some millennial years ago taught this to me. Once on your mobile device, if you go into your LinkedIn app and go to your profile and you touch up at the top, I think the three little dots right by your name, it pulls up the QR code specific to your LinkedIn profile. And then it's real easy. He can, if you're in person, can then, connect with that. If it's virtual, right, the virtual career fair that's going to happen, I would be, everyone has their name here on my other device or in a separate window. I would be typing in, Tesla, doing a quick search on people to find out information about how long he's been at Tesla, what's going on, any post that he made while somebody else is asking a question. Did he recently make a comment on a company post or post something else? Maybe he's a member of the National Black MBA for whatever chapter he's at. Well, what's the connection, right? So then when I have a chance to talk again, I'm going to make a question directly to our shared interests, or delve a little deeper into why it makes sense for me to want to work where Curtis works, right? That's how I would use it.
so no, that's a really good point, and I'm thinking of the actual fair now when you're going to the different tables and you're meeting people, you're greeting them, you're saying good afternoon, how are you? You do a quick little elevator pitch. If you don't know what that is, like really research what an elevator pitch is basically a 15 to 30-second intro about yourself, highlighting where you're from, what your background is, career wise, and what your interests are. Right. But here's a little, I guess, what's the word? Some game, or a nugget, if you will. When you're getting to know these folks that are at this career fair, ask them questions about their actual role and show that you care about it. Right. Because when you do that, you're leaving this good impression on them with you. Right. Because if you're asking them questions about the role and their responsibilities, how they feel about the job, and just the things they've learned, you're building a relationship, right? You're building a relationship right there, right? So now these are real things that can happen. You leave that impression on that person. Now, if they have an in-house networking event, they're thinking of you. Why? Because you asked them questions about them and their role versus more so than the company itself. A lot of times candidates will do that. They'll go to these tables and ask questions about the company, which is cool. That's fine. But if you make it a little bit more personable, that person may think of you to invite you to that networking event. Oh yeah, I liked, the conversation with Molly, and I liked the conversation with Latricia. That was really cool. Like, we had a good vibe. They're going to email you about that event. And when they do, go, right? So these are like real life scenarios that can happen. Why? Because you're personable, you have great social skills, you're asking questions about their role, you're asking questions, of course, about the company, but you're having a human to human interaction, right? And I think a lot of times with these career fairs, we can kind of overcomplicate it, but you're just meeting people. So be yourself. And not only be yourself, be a storyteller a little bit. Have a little humor, have a little, energy, right? Be a little upbeat, right? Have some liveliness to you. These characteristics are very impressionable on people. And these are some things that a lot of times folks overlook these strategies.
Great, great points. So bringing it back, we have zeroed in on research being number one. Doing your research. My tip that I will give is update your online profile. And when I say update your online profile, I mean update your online profile. Make sure that what is on Facebook is what you want them to see. What is on Instagram is what you want them to see. Especially what is on
Mhm.
LinkedIn is what you want them to see. because in the virtual age, employers are looking at your online profile. And what you say online, that in some respects is your digital resume. And if your digital resume is not up to date, if for instance, say you have a LinkedIn profile and you haven't been on that for months or years, employers is going to recognize that. And they're going to see maybe your picture has been there for ages. You haven't updated your picture, your heading is all out of whack. Your experience, they can tell from head to tail what you have on there. Then that is going to separate you from the other person getting that job or being looked at in a more detailed way. So my tip is to really update your online profile, optimize your LinkedIn profile, make sure that that link is readable and is something easy that they can click on and go to, and make sure that if you register for the New York Metro New York job board, that all of your information on there is up to date and your resume is up to date. So that is my tip. Make sure that your online profile is up to date. And I'm going to kick it to Latricia because I spoke about resume, and I want us to get a little bit deeper into that, having your resume up to date and prepared.
Oh, I love that, Molly. Thank you. Yes. So, up to date resume. A lot of people wait until they need a job to update their resume. And that's fine. It can be very stressful though, because you're like, oh, I need a job. I need to get out of this atmosphere. I need to get away from this toxic workplace, or crap, they just let me go. Right. Don't get yourself into that high pressure moment. I recommend updating your resume pretty frequently, at least once a quarter, right? Set up on your computer, on your calendar, update resume. September is update your resume month, so we just passed that. But here's why it's important. You are going to forget between, if you started a job in January of 2022, and we are currently in November of 2022, any cost savings, unless it's a major project that just ended, how you onboarded someone, major efficiencies, whatever you work on, whatever type of working you do, implemented a new plan, executed some mass inventory, new software, whatever it is, 9 times out of 10, you will forget about it between January and November. I say that being November because most companies usually have an annual review. If you're lucky to be in a company that gives you bonuses, they're looking at that now. I know HP end of year for them is actually October. So they just finished. They're currently in their first quarter of 2023, depending on just how the company you work for is set up. If you do it on a regular basis, at least quarterly, you can remember the last 12 weeks, right? You can remember what happened, last month, and make an update for new responsibilities that you took on. Maybe 4 weeks ago, someone on your team left and you've taken on some responsibilities. But after 3 or 4 months, it's kind of hard to remember that. So I think you should be updating your resume frequently. And then if you update your resume, you should also update your LinkedIn profile. The great thing about it is you can keep your LinkedIn profile a little quicker up to date because of being able to post, right? So being able to do as a subject matter expert, you're the great.
No, it was cut out a little bit. Go ahead.
Sorry. So keeping up your resume, updating your LinkedIn profile. It's easier usually to update your LinkedIn profile than to update your resume, right? Because it's on your phone. You're usually in or out of LinkedIn more frequently than you are a resume. And the great part about that is, and if you don't update the job things that you do, if you're the greatest project manager or product developer around, you've probably had a recent success, or your team has, right? Even better, don't even talk about yourself, talk about your team. If you do a post, right, showing about what you do, how you do it, that's the subject matter expertness that other people that you're connected to will comment on, react to. And then when someone does a search for you on LinkedIn, these recruiters, these HR officers, they will search for you. They either do a Google search or they do a LinkedIn search. And actually, they'll do a LinkedIn search nowadays first, and then a Google search on someone. And if you have some activity that's recent, that's always looked upon better than someone who has what they call, a zombie or a quiet profile that there's been no activity on it for weeks, right? Because when I search your name, if I type in Molly Crease, I'll go, recent activity, and I'll go, oh, she posted something 2 hours ago. Okay, good, 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 good. Or Joe Schmo hasn't posted in a while. Yeah, okay. How does that, some HR people, depending on who they are and the generation they're in and the work that they do, will look on that differently. Where do you want to fall in that assessment?
Yeah. Do you have anything to add to that, Curtis?
I mean, once again, she scored a point, and I'm just kind of standing
Uh,
by. She said, "This is like 2-0 Latricia." It's like I have nothing. I have nothing. But no, it's definitely update the LinkedIn profile. And what I love about here's the thing about LinkedIn too, right? You want to be very careful of the headlines, all the details, right? Your about section, like those things stand out. It's not necessarily the experiences that you put on there, but it's your taglines, your headlines, because that tells a story more so than the resume, right? Because if you have a tagline that says, for example, aspiring tech professional, automatically the reader is going to assume like, okay, you want to get into the tech industry, right? Just from that tagline alone. So your words, how often you use certain words on your LinkedIn profile is key, right? Like I said, tagline, headlines. What kind of story do you want your employers to read? That's what the LinkedIn profile is basically all about. I'm telling you a story, and this is the story that I want you to read. So your words, your usage, frequency of words, how your punctuation, grammar, all those, the tech stuff, right? All the little intricacies that's critical to that LinkedIn profile. So as you're updating it, make sure you're saying to yourself, like, okay, what kind of story do I want to present on my page, right? Because depending on what you put there is either going to really draw in a lot of traffic to your page or no, right? So that's a key thing that I wanted to add. But yeah, Latricia nailed it.
we're going to continue. And technical difficulties here, but yes, we're
Yeah, I
going to
scored a
continue.
point. You're right, Letitia. I scored a point. So I gotta get something in.
Yeah, yeah. I would say too, making sure, as Latricia say, your resume is up to date. But I would say put them together, hand in hand, your resume with your LinkedIn profile. I know many times in my earlier days, as Latricia said, I would forget to put stuff that I did on my resume, and I would totally forget until I go to sit down and really remember. But I did this. Did I do this? And I'm trying to remember so I can add it to the resume. And you forget what you did, you forget the dates, and it would be totally unfair for you that you did a certification or you did a webinar or you did a speaking engagement and you forgot to highlight that on your resume. You forgot to highlight it on your LinkedIn profile. And so the employers that are looking, the recruiters that are looking, they don't know what you did because you've never made it known. So that is something that is, I think, is very, very important that you brought up, Latricia, is to really do it on a quarterly basis or every time you do something, write it down in a notebook or put it somewhere that you can go back to it to add it to your resume or to your LinkedIn profile.
Can I give my best coaching tip to
Go
people?
ahead. Go ahead. Go
So
ahead.
it's on this exact topic. So I'm assuming everyone who showed up here and is watching the replay is looking for a new job. Here's what most people don't do that'll put you ahead of the game on this particular topic. Take the job description once you get the job, right? Keep it, put it on your desktop, either at work or at home, whatever it is. Set a reminder that coincides with something that you'll do regularly, something that happens about every 14 days, whether that's approving payroll or approving invoices or a project management update, something that happens fairly frequently, about 14 days. You can push it to 30, But I think 14 days is a sweet spot because it happens often. And when things are moving fast in an office, or if you're traveling for business, you can quickly lose it. So if it's every 14 days, this is great. And what you're going to put down on this expanded job description, for example, the line, if you're a product developer, right? And you've hit the next milestone, right? You're going to forget it because there's another milestone right behind it. But if the tickler comes up at 2 o'clock on Thursday afternoon when you're approving invoices or approving expense reports, then you can go, oh right, saved $15,000, or oh hey, hit the milestone 2 weeks ahead of time. If you're putting it down on this expanded job description right then when it happens, at the end of the year when you're doing reviews, or at that quarterly time when you're updating your resume and you jump back over to this file, you're not going, oh hell, what did I do? It's there. It's written out. It's only the past 14 days that you have to remember. And it's a 5-minute update to your LinkedIn profile. It's a 5-minute update to going, ooh, how do I take these 3 things and make it a quantifiable, bullet point on my resume? How do I take this and go, okay, this percent increased, or this percent earlier, or save this much money on the project. And it's right there. And it's 5 minutes. It's not, crap, I just lost my job and now high stress time, I've got to sit in front of this blinking piece of paper on my computer screen and think about all the things I've done the past year, 18 months, 5 years. That makes sense. But if you're keeping track of it regularly, it's a 5-minute update once a quarter, 15 minutes maybe, to do both documents, and you're back on to doing whatever else you want to do that day.
Great tips. Great tips. I hope everyone is taking notes. I want to swing back to the elevator pitch a little bit because I know I struggled with this before, knowing exactly how to do it. I've seen a lot of people struggle with it at career fairs. Walking up with your resume and saying, "This is the job I want." That was the pitch I see some people do all the time. So let's spend a little more time on that elevator pitch. And Curtis, you mentioned it, so I want you to go into exactly what needs to go into that elevator pitch, and also why is it important to practice? Because sometimes we get there and it's in our head and we don't know how to bring it out from the head to our mouths. So what should be in that elevator pitch, and how is it we should practice? Should we practice in the mirror? Should we practice with a family member, a friend, before the event? Tell us something about that.
No, you kind of touched on it. Yeah, definitely practice with loved ones. But the whole, to me, there's a technique called past, present, future with the elevator pitch. And basically what that is, of course, you're introducing yourself and who you are, but past, present, and future basically means you acknowledge your background, where you're from, what you've done, college, you know, credentials, whatever you have. Present is highlighting what you're currently doing right now, right? And when you're highlighting what you're currently doing right now, you want it to correlate to that particular company or that position you're interested in. And then lastly, future. You're acknowledging things, you're acknowledging your goals, what your aspirations are. So if you could do that in like 30 minutes, 30 seconds, not 30 minutes, right? But like 30 to 40 seconds, right? Past, present, future, you have a very good structure, a good foundation of an elevator pitch, right? Because one of the things that folks, mistakenly do, they just talk about the future. They talk about their goals, their dreams, what they want to do. That's amazing. But highlight some things that you're doing right now. Highlight some things that you've accomplished, right? Also, highlight your background, highlight your credentials, like big yourself up a little bit, right? Say, yeah, I acquired this. I'm certified in this. I went to school here. My degree is in this, right? These are some things that you should highlight when you're pitching, right? Not to say it in an arrogant way, but you want to come in with confidence, like, hey, like I've done the work, right? I've been through some trainings, I've done some things, and these things can add value. So ultimately, what I'm saying is, when you're pitching to people in an environment like that, you want to show your value. You want to show companies and folks that, hey, you might need me as much as I need you,
Hmm.
right? Without saying it, if that makes
Yeah.
sense.
Yeah. I think a good way to frame it too is to say that because I've been passionate about this stuff, this is where my career has led me with those experiences. And this is what I think, based on my experience, this is what I think I can bring to your company within this role, and highlight
Hmm.
some things that you can bring to that role and to that company as well.
I scored 5 points, Latricia.
Good
So yeah.
stuff. Good, good stuff.
I was gonna say
Also,
it was 2 for 2, but okay. I'll take the challenge. 2 for 5. I'll take it. I'll take it.
okay, before we move off of the preparation, something that is very important that I want to note as well is, do not wait until the day of to check your equipment, to check your computer, to make sure that the camera is working, that the mic is working, and make sure that you have that space that you want to sit at, and at the right angle and all of that stuff. Do not wait until the day of. I remember one time I had this very important meeting, and I waited until the day of. It was half an hour before the meeting, and I'm like, okay, let me turn on my laptop and let me get ready. Lo and behold, I turn it on and the camera will not work. It was like, camera not working. Right. And then that sent me, before that, I was calm. I was ready for the meeting. And then seeing that alone send me into a panic mode. I was panic. I was ready to take the laptop and throw it on the floor. All of these kinds of stuff, because I'm like, this meeting is so important. Why is this happening to me right now? So
I'm sorry. Sorry.
so do not wait until the day of to get that equipment sorted out and make sure that it's working properly. It might sound silly now, but it is one of the most important things when you're attending a virtual career fair.
Great tip. Great tip. And if you can do it, like Molly has a beautiful background around her. That's beautiful. Me, plain, but I'm smart in lifestyle. So it is what it is. But you know, if you can
Yeah.
make it pretty, if you can, that's always good.
Yeah,
Yeah.
be creative. Show your personality, as long as it's not distracting, right? So
Right. Yeah, definitely. You don't want to have that traumatic experience like Molly. You know what I mean? You gotta,
no,
you gotta
yeah, it was
make
bad.
sure.
It was really bad.
But with that though, seriously, is definitely the night before, even or even 2 nights before, like update your computer. Check if any needs of any updates, right? Like your browsers,
Ooh,
all of
that
that,
too.
right? Right. Do a virus scan, do all of that, right? Because if you're in this virtual fair, your computer screaming at you like, I got a virus, I got an itch,
Ooh,
like,
it
this is
starts to reboot.
it's,
It starts to
it starts
reboot
to
on you.
reboot,
That has
gotta
happened to me
update the
before too.
system, right? So you're in a you're in a pitch. Oh, I'm interested in, and then boom, blue screen. Oh, time for updates, and next thing you know, it's like that's it, you're done.
Oh
And
my gosh,
obviously,
that is terrible. That
and
would
those
be
updates
terrible.
and those updates are brutal. They take long.
They
It's
take a long time.
not no 2 minute now. Sometimes it's 5 minutes and 10 minutes, and it's like the whole momentum of you networking and talking is completely deflated. So
Yeah.
yeah, update your equipment, 2 nights before, the night before, and just make sure everything is. Oh yeah, charge your laptop, charge your equipment, right? You don't want to end up in a situation where battery life at 5% and your chargers in in another side of the house or apartment, and now you got to run charge your thing because your laptop is telling you, hey, like, I'm about to cut out on you. So make sure
Yeah.
you cover all of those things seriously.
Definitely. That is super important. Super. I can't tell you how much times that happened to me. It's too embarrassing to tell. But that is that is super important. So let's move on. We dealt with the preparation before the career fair. Let's talk about the day of. It's the day of the career fair. I'm getting ready, and how do I dress? How do I dress, Latricia?
Oh, as you would for an in-person interview, right?
Okay.
Clean, simple. For virtual, so one thing that was different for virtual because certain patterns and everything digitized a little differently. So I would go for solid colors, not a lot of patterns, not a lot of busy patterns or very tiny because some computer screens just react differently to things like that. Um, you know, guys get a nice cut, ladies get the hair looking good, minimal makeup, but good lighting, right? Um, I would say, now I know some people through the whole pandemic, they were like, oh, you just have to be dressed really good from the waist up. I would say do the full outfit, right? Do the shoes, the jewelry, the simple understated jewelry, do everything because you're in that frame of mind, right? So in person, when we go to our interview, you put on your armor, right? You build up that nice armor around you with the perfume and the lipstick and the fresh fade and the nice new jacket. Do all of that for a virtual interview as well, because it puts you in a certain frame of mind. And that mindset is what's going to help you do really well during that interview. So that's another point for me, Kurt. So 3 to 5.
Yes, yes, yes.
No, no, no.
Also, you don't want to make the mistake of getting up and you don't have bottoms on.
Yeah. So put the
Right.
whole, yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
That's
we,
the
we
whole outfit. Put the pants on,
yeah,
gentlemen. Ladies, put not
right.
the
We
boy
don't
shorts.
we
Actually, put on a pants or a skirt. Put the whole outfit on, shoes and
right.
everything. I say do it all because it just changes your mindset. It actually puts you. This is a job interview. I need to be here, right? The same mindset that as you walk into the building for the interview that you kind of get. You want to have that same steps that you take for a interview or a virtual career fair.
Nah, that's a fantastic point. And just dressing, just dressing. You know what I'm saying? Just dressing, just on the top side. Yeah, you do get a little lax, and you do get a little complacent because you're still kind of in like relax mode. It's in the morning, right? Oh, which is another big tip, right? Preparation. Make sure you eat breakfast. Make sure you're upbeat, take your vitamins, drink your coffee, do whatever you need to do prior to the fair to get your energy up, right? Because once it starts, right? And that's basically what it is, right? Clothing wise, absolutely make sure you completely dressed up. Don't have the fuzzy slippers on because that may want to, the Crocs or whatever you're wearing, that may put you sleepy. You know what I mean? So dress the part, absolutely.
Yes, and also if you're doing it in your living room area, do not have your TV on because then you would find that your eyes keep going up and coming down, going up and coming down. Eliminate all distractions. You want to be in a quiet space where there's no distractions. There's nothing to move your eye in either direction, but you're focused on who's talking to you and who's in front of you, and also make sure that that background is not too busy, and that it doesn't distract the person that is talking to you as well. So eliminating all distractions is very important. I would say another tip too is have a pen and notebook as part of your equipment that you need to have, or a necessity is to have that pen and notebook handy right next to you, and a copy of your resume next to you, because sometimes we forget things and it's important to take notes. Sometimes you might be looking at for researching something on your phone and you want to take some notes at the same time. Have that notebook handy. I know we have this young generation now that want to do everything on their phones, and it's everything. Oh, what are you doing? I'm taking notes on my phone. I was just on a college tour. We told them to bring pen and paper, and they were with their phones. Oh, we're taking notes on our phone. But that pen and notebook is very, very important because you would miss some information and you would need that information to be able to follow up. So that pen and paper is very important.
Yeah. Another quick logistical tip to just on the tech side of things as well. Two things. Update your Wi-Fi. Make sure that's up to par. If you need to do like a quick diagnostic on that, again the night before or early the morning of, early in the morning, if you wake up that early, just make sure your Wi-Fi is on point. Just make sure you do a test run, right? You log into the streaming service, whatever it is, the platform. Make sure your internet speed is on point. Also, when you're on there, right, make sure you don't have multiple tabs, multiple windows up. That will slow down, right? That's a slam dunk.
Mm-hmm.
See, so that's
I'm gonna get you
you
on this one though. I got one.
know what I mean? Like, listen, seriously, like you don't want to have multiple tabs and windows up. That will slow your internet down. That will cause you to be a little choppy. And they may see, and that's how, and this is something that I've learned, like they may seem choppy to you, but you're choppy to them. Right?
Mm-hmm.
So just be mindful of that as well. So I want to see this tree pointer that Latricia is going to make. I'm
So
curious.
to piggyback on Molly's, have your resume with you, even though you're at home, have a printed copy or have it up on your screen. Better yet, have a great PDF of it ready to drop into the chat of the platform, or when they share their email, that you can quickly lift their email and send it off.
Oh,
Yes.
that was a slam
Pointer,
dunk,
Nah, that's
Latricia.
good.
Slam
That's good.
on
That's
the board.
good.
There you go.
That's good. That's good.
Slam.
That's good.
I want to
See, she
come
had.
back. I want to come
Listen.
back with that, and I want to dunk it again. And I want to say, have your virtual business card because some of the recruiters
Mm.
might have barcodes that you need to scan, and you also need to know how to pull up your LinkedIn code that can be scanned as well. And so that is going to be your virtual business card. Is going to be your LinkedIn profile. So have that handy. That's
No,
another
that's
dunk
no,
for
that
me.
no, that's legit. This is like playing Uno. This is like playing Uno. You drop the draw two, and she drops a draw four. That's what y'all just did. All right, I understand. It's all good. You dropped the draw four.
But all great points for people, because you know why is this easy for us? We've been there, right? We've been there either on the side as the candidate side of the table at an in-person career fair, or as the person on the other side of the screen at a virtual career fair. And so
Mhm.
we keep track of all the things that, ooh, that didn't go well for him. I should remember that one to share, right? So we've seen, or oh man, open mouth, insert foot. I need to be better at that elevator pitch. So we've been in your seats and we understand that, which is why, for us, it's like, oh, they're pulling this right out of the hat, yeah, because we've done it enough times, or we've seen it or coach people through,
Mhm.
oh yeah. So a way of dealing with that is to do this, and if you're keeping track on the chat, I think people are putting in some of these tips as they come out. So definitely do your screenshot. Oh, that's another one. That's another 3-pointer. Have your one or two or three fingers that you have to quickly do a screenshot, because you can't always, depending on the platform they use. So I know if someone uses a Zoom for the virtual career fair or a virtual interview, if you have a Zoom account and you save the chat, sometimes you pick it up. But if they use a newer platform or something you're not familiar with or have an account with, screenshots are great. And then you can lift the email address for that they share their email address during the conversation. You can quickly then, after the career fair, shoot them a message and you have that email address ready to go.
Oh my God, Latricia, I'm so glad that you bring that up. So I'm going to say, do not wait until the day of to figure out the platform because you're going to be spending an hour, 2 hours trying to figure out how do I get into this room? How do I move over here? The good thing about the Metro New York chapter is that we usually have people on deck trying to help you to tell you how to go into these spaces and how to navigate your way. But it would be a good tip for you to try to navigate that platform, find out all you can about that platform before the day of the actual career fair so that you don't need all of that and you're not wasting all your time trying to get into a session or to go somewhere by just trying to figure it out. So that's a very important point right there.
I like that.
Okay.
That's a good one.
Okay. So it's the day of the career fair, and we're going into virtual sessions. What do we need to take note of going into these virtual sessions?
Hmm. I'll start. And I
Mm-hmm.
will say, while you were there, of course, to meet the company representatives, the other people in the room are just as important to network with. I know that's your thing, Molly. I know networking is your thing.
She's taking my job. She's taking my job, guys.
I'll let,
Go
I'll let
ahead.
you,
Go
I'll let
ahead,
you finish that
Patricia.
tidbit.
Go
No, I'll
ahead.
let you finish that
Go
tidbit.
ahead.
It's important.
She's making all the points. We're gonna be just sitting here silent for the rest of this session. Go
Yeah.
ahead. Go ahead.
But no, they are just. I'll let Molly say why. But connecting with, and this is where the screenshotting, having your 2 finger, 3 finger screenshotting comes in really well, right? Or being able, I say, be present in the breakout room, right? So be
Mhm.
present in the breakout room. Do your little screenshots of who's in the room, either by the participant list, or if people put their name, put your full name, as possible in the when you sign up for the platform. Make it easier for people to go, okay, Curtis, there's quite a few Curtis Coxes. This looks like the Curtis that was in the room with me, right? So that people connect that way. And then right after, connect with them when we get to the after part. I'll have a tip for that, but connect with them as soon as you can after the career fair. So pay attention to who's in the room, and if you're in the room, definitely sign up as close as possible to your LinkedIn name, your LinkedIn profile name on the platform.
Listen, these people are going to be your cheat sheet. And the reason why they're your cheat sheet is because you're not going to be able to get to go to everybody all at once. So if you weren't able to get to a company and this person might have gotten to that company, you connect with the person and say, "Oh, by the way, so glad we were at the career fair together. How did it go for you? This is how it went for me. I really wanted to connect with that company. Did you get a chance?" You start exchanging information. That's how that bartering go. You start exchanging information, and right there you're building a connection, but you're also helping each other. So that's one of the reasons why you don't just only go to a career fair or to an event to connect with the employers there, but you connect with the people on the floor as well. Because chances are you might get a later interview just by your connection from the people on the floor. So that's how you get that there. Curtis, you wanna add anything?
I don't have anything. I don't have anything. Like y'all just y'all are very smart. You're smart. Okay, Tracy, you go. I'm gonna go after her, and now Curtis stands up. I really have nothing to say after that because these are things that
Mhm.
I was taught, right? Like,
Mhm.
hey, like network with the other folks because you're so focused on the employers, the
Mhm.
representatives, you kind of completely ignore who you just never know who people know, right? You
Mhm.
just never know. And what's interesting is there's times where you'll go to career fairs, whether it's virtual or in person, and your next opportunity didn't come from one of those companies from that career fair, but it came from someone you met there that knows somebody that knows somebody. And then
Exactly.
now, right. So yeah, I had to add something because I ain't gonna make me look
Exactly. That
crazy on this.
that was wonderful.
It's a three
Um
pointer for you, Curtis. There you
yeah,
go.
Yeah, you ain't gonna make me look like I ain't know what I'm talking
I
about.
I have another 3 pointer that you guys can expound on during the virtual sessions as well. A point I want to make is that make sure to maintain eye contact and also practice active listening,
Mhm.
because a lot of times we have people, you want to talk so much about what you have accomplished and about your experience, and you forget to listen. And I always say when you listen, that's when you retain valuable information. And that information that you retain, then you're able to ask intelligent questions that's going to bring some results for you. So I would say practice active listening. Do not go over your time. Even though it's virtual, there's going to be people behind you waiting to get in line to speak to that employer. And if your time is up, I'm assuming there might be a 2 minute, 5 minute time for each person, depending on how many people are in that virtual space waiting to talk to that employer. If your time is up, don't try to squeeze in another question, because that's insensitive. There's someone else behind you waiting, and the employer is going to take note of that as well. And make sure that you, based on your research, you have your list of questions prepared that you need to ask, so that you're not racing to go over time because you think of another question on the spot that you need to ask. And even if you think of another question on the spot, leave that for your follow up when you're following up. And that's my 3 point attempt. You guys can go now.
No, that's a good point because this is a it's a gem war competition. You just I'm gonna share more, you gonna share more. No, I'm gonna share more. But no, it's listen, like you could do so much during that career fair, and then you have no follow up question, no follow up conversation. And a lot of times that person will connect with you and say, "Hey, let's schedule a call tomorrow." It's like, "Oh man!" So now, gotta do more research, right? So it's like you wanna brace yourself and really, don't put all your eggs in one basket, so to speak. But at the same token, like you just kind of have to feel it out, right? If you are in a space where you can share a lot, share a lot. If it's a time where it's like, okay, yeah, I don't want to share too much because the time constraints, right? The whole dynamic of the fair, you want to connect with other people, other companies. You don't want to stretch yourself too thin because a lot of times you could get worn out, like not even after a few, maybe one or two sessions because you exerted so much energy and excitement. So just kind of pace yourself and just kind of, woosah if you need to, get a drink of water, bathroom break, like all these different things play into your experience with with the virtual career fairs. So yeah, don't try to do too much in such a you know short period of time. Just do enough to make an impact.
That was awesome. That was great. Before we run out of time, I want us to get to this. So the career fair is over. It's the day after. What do I do?
Ooh. So you've done your research, you've participated, you've done all the things. Connect with people. That's why those screenshots and taking notes are so important. You've captured names, you've captured companies, you've captured email addresses, hopefully. And what you want to do is follow up with people. Don't go crazy, right? Within 24 hours or so, and make a reference to it, like, right, so if you connect with Molly, go Molly, so if today was a career fair, right, like in 24 hours I would connect with Molly Crease on LinkedIn and say, give her some way to connect to you, right? Hey Molly, I was able to jump on to the Metro New York chapter National Black MBA, event last night. I really thought that, the points you made were insightful. Did you take that you could use that, right? And so she'll go, oh, this is someone that I met through this event. That makes sense. You would exchange it and say at the virtual career fair, and then just give, because company recruiters who are in person at virtual career fairs or doing in person or at virtual career fairs, they're meeting lots of people. You're meeting 20, right? You're meeting 5. They're meeting dozens and hundreds of people. Help them make the connection as to where they met you.
Great, great tip. Any tip, Curtis? You have 1 minute. Any?
You see how they do it. You got 1 minute. There's a conspiracy with this session. I'm telling you. With the with the LinkedIn, definitely follow up with folks on LinkedIn. Send them a thank you note. Don't be generic with it. Be personable with it. Use the person's name. Hi, so and so. Don't just say hi. So like your language, right? Make it warm. short to the point, personable. Because a lot of times you're just connecting with people on LinkedIn and you're not adding any notes. Add a note, right?
Mhm.
Show that you remember that person. Show that they made an impression on you, right? So definitely get specific. It may feel like it's tedious, but doing that little extra time, doing that little extra work will pay off. So be personable in your outreach, in your follow up. Also, another quick thing is if you get to a point now where you're scheduling follow up meetings with people from the fair, make sure you update your scheduling, whether you're using Calendly or some kind of scheduling kind of platform to schedule your meetings. Make sure you have that up to date. If you need to make a little bit more time because you've met a lot of people, you want to connect with people at a certain given period of time, you may want to update your Calendly, your calendar, or whatever, just for that moment, right? And then put it back to your regular schedule, right? You're
Mhm.
just changing it up for now because you made a lot of connections. You want to have that momentum going, right? You don't want to wait till 2 weeks or 3 weeks or even next week, right? You want to like follow up within a couple of days if you can, right? Just to keep the
Mhm.
conversation and energy going. So that's my that's my slam dunk. Okay, I
Great,
know I said
great.
some point.
Great slam dunk. Just a tip I want to add in there as well is chances are before the career fair, National Black would have had events as well, similar to this that we have tonight, with that are some of the companies that would be at that very same career fair would headline those events. And if you have a chance to register for those, I would say to really register for them because that puts you ahead of the game. That means you can connect with that employer even before the career fair starts. So make sure that you're looking out for those events with the companies that are headlined as well and attend those events. And another tip I will give after the career fair as well, remember, and it's an easy one, view the website of the companies and apply for positions that you're interested in. And then when you're following up, then you can say that I've applied for this position and put that in your follow up as well. So that's a very important point to note. Oh my gosh, this was so great. I mean, the time I got 2 minutes. So before I give you guys to say your closing, let me just say thank you so much for those of you that attended. I hope you got some great tips from our coaches here and to get you prepared for our upcoming career fair and for your interviews. This applies to your interviews and all that stuff as well. We will be talking to you again on the 15th, and we will be talking all about networking, giving you the ins and outs and in betweens of networking. So we invite you to come back, invite a friend. It will be at the same time, 7 o'clock. Our career fair is on November 17th from 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. So you have about, is it 2 weeks? You have about 2 weeks to prepare for the fair and get yourself ready and do all the things that we've talked about here today. To learn more about our coaches, you can visit their website, curtiscareers.com, careerdocuments.com, and also you can visit the NYBLACKMBA.org website. Go in the About section, click on the Career Coaches. You would see a little snippet of them there. If after that session you feel like you still need a one on one session with us, you can go there, click on the link to any coach, and we would be available to you to give you a one on one session and to brush you up a little bit more on the things that we talked about tonight. Any last minute words before we end? We're going to end at 8, so you have like 10 seconds. Go ahead.
This was great. I loved it. Definitely screenshot the comments and connect with us on LinkedIn. That's the best way of probably getting in touch with each one of us.
Yeah, absolutely. See, again, it's hard to follow up with that. Definitely connect with us on LinkedIn. This was fun. This was great. I hope you all got like a lot of helpful information on this session. I know I sure have. Like, I'm definitely gonna check on my LinkedIn myself and make sure that my stuff is up to date. You know what I mean? So it's good to have spaces like this. So, thank you, National Black MBA. Thank you, Molly and the team. This has been great.
Thank you guys. And I think this is the end of our broadcast. It's the end of our session. Thank you so much for attending and for being here. And until the 15th, we shall see you again. Bye, everyone.